Shantae, half genie hero.
So we returned to Shantae, Half Genie Hero, where I first 100%ed hardcore mode and as mentioned last episode deleted it out of idiocy. I've already explained why I'm not re-recording this one. I also lost my recording of the first DLC, Pirate Queen's Quest, but I'm redoing it here, so sadly you won't see my initial playthrough.
There are two sides to every story.
We start off with the cutscene after Shantae completes a dynamo and Risky boots inverts her magic and takes off with it. It's most of the same but with a few lines making it clear this is how Risky chooses to remember it. We then cut to Risky in the bath gloating to herself. She restates her plan to take over the Genie Realm but admits the machine isn't powerful enough for that yet. It needs another 5 components to be upgraded further. She figures the Barons will happen to have the parts she needs. I select the Tinkerbat with the travel option and go to Main Street. Risky gets there but the Tinkerbats start the attack without her, pissing her off and making her decide to punish them. So Risky's main form of attack is her sword, but she also has 3 kinds of ammo for her gun. The regular unlimited ammo, and missiles and a spread shot which I need to collect ammo for. Even the healing food items are different for her. I really like Risky's sword attack for starting off about the same speed as Shantae's fully upgraded hair whip. One of the big new things to Risky's playthrough is hitting these floating eye things to make platforms temporarily appear. You can tell this mode isn't playing around when they put enemies from the final area in the main game in the first level here. So yeah, we're going to revisit all the same levels in all the DLC, and the general layouts of them will be the same. What changes is how you actually get about those levels with your different movesets. One more comment while I'm in the first area is that Risky starts with more health than Shantae, having 4 points more. Right before I leave this section, it taunts me with another chest I can't have yet. Right away in the second area, I have to use my gun to keep a long chain of these platforms going. Since this is my third playthrough, first being the Lost 100% and the second being the Lost speedrun, I remember where everything is. Well, I did then. This was recorded about 6 months ago. I shoot a switch to make a platform under this gap and then use Risky's Mega Man-esque slide to get to a chest containing dark magic. This is used to upgrade my weapons and abilities. Right away I use it to upgrade her scimitar for extra damage. I go through the restaurant and the bricks on the other side have been swapped out for the switches. Only new thing for the rest of this section is another food item, some rancid jam. The Tinkerbats pull up in the Tinker Slug once again. She's still going to punish them and the fight starts. Something I quite like is that they change the subtitles for all the bosses in every DLC mode. The actual fight itself isn't any different. In fact, thanks to Risky's fast sword and the upgrade, I take it out on the second cycle. She tells them never to defy her again and they accidentally leave without her. We get a chest with a component inside to end the level. Back in the ship, and every time we beat a new level, the Tinkerbats have a new tool for us. The first one is the Pirate Hat, which lets me glide after a jump. Following the same order as the main game, I go to Mermaid Falls next. Techno Baron still hanging around based on the smell. The Pirate Hat doesn't keep you gliding long, it's just a slight boost into the air. This is after Shantae frees the mermaid, so it's just naggers in Risky's mode. Also, I think these guys are new. Once more I have giant blocks stopping me from going places. No, the missiles don't do anything to them. That's about it for this section, no new items right now, so let's move on to the second section. No rings on the first screen, gotta use the switches. Well, some switches create rings to jump across. They're still on the second screen though. There's a chest where Grandma Blobfish was, but I can't get to that either. For the rest of this screen I'm alternating between going up with the rings and hitting the switches to make the platforms move. As I said before, the layouts of the levels are unchanged, so I'm not going to talk about them as much since I already did last time. I find no items as I get to the top, once again another chest I can't reach on the third screen before I go back down the slide. Aside from different fruit and enemies, there's nothing new to say about the slide. I reach the bottom and meet Techno Baron again. He's got his mermaid business back on track and when Risky demands the part he has, he sets the Giga Mermaid on us again. Those balls are hard to dodge once again, but destroying the blocks is really quick. For a second phase, the missiles are homing so I can just keep firing those instead of working my way up to her face. However, not even all 30 of my missiles will defeat her, so I just move on to my spread bullets. They do 1 less damage, but if I get close enough I can hit her with 2 shots. 16 shots later and she's done. Risky smacks Techno Baron away, we get the second part. This time the Tinkerbats have made a grappling hook. Next I'm going back to Tasseltown. Risky recalls the legend of a certain self-centered girl who fell on the adoration of others. Thinking of her brings Holly back into existence. Holly starts listing off even more of her accomplishments and starts hinting at bringing back Wilbur before disappearing. We've got some new enemies here, these little mummified guys who spin first when you hit them before being killed by the second hit. I hit this switch to lower the wall and instead of continuing I hit it again to lift myself up to a chest containing another dark magic. I use it to upgrade my scimitar again. Right after it I find another chest with the first of 15 genie crystals. These scorpion women are another new enemy but I just ignore her. I grab onto the bottom of this platform with the grappling hook and see I can't get another chest yet. Another thing about the grappling hook is that it can let you get on top of these thin platforms. The thicker ones you can't. I get to the end and then to the tower. No Wilbur chase this time. Not much to say about this section, there's a lot of block manipulating with the switches. I actually enjoy these switch puzzles more than the actual Wilbur chase. Near the top I get another dark magic from a chest. I use it on the scimitar again, fully upgrading it. Right above it is another genie crystal. Above the exit I have to use my hat and hook together to find one more chest with more dark magic. I use this one to give myself some extra health and move on to area 3. With the pirate hat this place is much easier than with Shantae. Not far from the beginning I can jump off and use the hook to get another genie crystal. Those eyeballs can be arseholes though, as long as their spawn point is on screen they respawn almost instantly. This area starts giving me gaps to cross by using the switches to raise timed columns. I also get a tuner roll. Here I think, oh nice, another easy aww. I then get the last food item, a tentacle, and then I get to the end. I meet up with Holly once again. She says she can have the part if we fight Wilbur. He's just recovered from the beating Shantae gave him. Wilbur is the same, even easier actually thanks to the gun. Holly refuses to handle the part, but a Tinkerbat smashes Risky's head in with a hammer, making her forget Holly completely and erasing her again. This gets me the third part. This time I get a Kraken ball which allows me to get underwater. Risky checks out those genie crystals I've got. There isn't it with light magic, so if enough Risky can find the entrance to the genie realm. Normally I backtrack, but since I'm recording this after finishing everything else in the game I want to get this done quicker. So Cape Crustacean next. Ammo Baron's trying to steal magic carpets again and Risky bets he's got one of the parts. This means we're doing the race again. Like with Wilbur there isn't anything new to say. I run into Twitch and Vinegar again. They trade insults for a little bit and fight. The fully upgraded scimitar eats through their health in no time. We then go back up to Ammo Baron's fleet. Like the race, barely any change. First room I can't get the chest. The slide makes those cannons much easier to deal with. Back in the room with the moving layers I use the grappling hook to get my 4th genie crystal. In the 7 laser room I now have to shoot a switch to make a block appear to block the 3 middle lasers, letting me get to this dark magic. I use it for more health. That's about it, time for the next area. Back to there being switches all over now. No need to wait for Risky, I can just grappling hook right up into this section. It gets me another dark magic that I use to max out my health. On the first screen I drop down the hidden section and then to the flooded area. With the Kraken ball I can walk underwater and jump really high. I use a grappling hook to navigate the maze to get to the top and get my 7th dark magic. I use this one to extend the range of the grappling hook. I go back in the maze and jump down to this other chest with another dark magic. I don't use it for some reason. Back in the 3rd screen in the top left corner I can get to another chest with 1 more dark magic. I upgrade the grappling hook again but still don't use that second one. Like in Main Street I can hit this switch to make a platform to slide through this hole. I get the 5th genie crystal there. Also screw whatever challenge you made for me with that switch, I've got the grappling hook. A very easy to get chest in the 5th screen gives me yet another dark magic. That's 5 in one level playthrough. I max out the grappling hook with it. As thanks it helps me ignore another switch and get right to the end. I get another genie crystal and smash up that engine. Everyone crashes down again and it turns out Ammo Baron was still in the infirmary from Shantae's beating. He's still up for a fight though. With their MCUs destroyed they have to wear prototypes that fail the safety inspection. It's much easier to take out his human shield with the spread gun. I basically demolish him here. At this point I'd fought these guys over 10 times each so I had no excuse to struggle. I said I had no excuse to struggle. That's better. Switching Vinegar to take Ammo Baron off yet again and I get my 4th part. My reward for beating this level is the bomb shot, now I can blow up those huge blocks. Time to revisit Hypno Baron's castle. This level is one that actually changes between all these different modes. Remember how doors would take you to a completely different room than the one it should lead to? Well, for each mode they change which doors lead where. I also know which chests are fake by now. By re-entering the first door I exit from I get taken to another dark magic. I upgrade the bomb shot to create bigger explosions. Still haven't used that other one. I spam the grappling hook to get across this gap, I blow up this block to drop down to this chest with a ghost in it. Then I go through the door and get a real chest with dark magic in it. I don't use this one either. After that I get on the roof and at the far left side I get my 7th genie crystal. I get more dark magic on the other side of the roof, I use it on the bomb again and leave the other 2. I enter the next door and go right back in to be taken to a secret screen with more dark magic which I use to fully upgrade the bomb shot. And right after I can grappling hook up to another. This time I upgrade the ammo strap so I can hold more ammo. I walk a little more and go up to get another. I upgrade the ammo strap again. This time I finally noticed I'd forgotten those 2 and maxed out ammo strap and upgrade the pirate hat so I can glide longer. I also accidentally use a Tinkerbat summon attack. I completely forgot that existed. With that I enter the next area. This section combines the switches and the moving eye blocks, so I have to be able to jump and shoot and make sure I still land on the block. Or maybe you'll have to make the platforms appear at the right time so you have time to wait for the block to face the right direction. Then the platform tricks me, making me think I can drop through it but making me slide off the edge. The switch is right next to it, I just have to spread gun it to get to this chest with another genie crystal. On the last screen we get more gap using 2 blocks and a switch that creates limited time rings. There's also a chest above Hypno Baron's door but I can't get to it yet. Hypno Baron wants to pit his evil against Risky's but Squid Baron interrupts. Turns out he was supposed to drop later and ruined Hypno Baron's intro. Fight Squid Baron. Those fully upgraded bombs have their explosions linger for a while and Squid Baron spins into them a lot for 12 damage each, and when he starts stamping around, those bombs annihilate him. When it comes to a dual Barons fight, just look at all those numbers popping out of Squid Baron. It feels good. It doesn't last and I spend the rest of the fight firing bombs at Hypno Baron. He has no chance. We've ended the Baron's partnership and got the last component part. The Tinkerbats give me the cannon jump. I like this one. It gives me a double jump by firing a cannon below me. I have all 5 components but I don't have enough genie crystals to find the genie realm. Now it's time for the backtracking cycle. So it's back to Main Street. Drop down that first bit of water and go through the pipe, blow up the block, get dark magic, upgrade cannon jump to jump higher. Oh yeah, it has up to 3 shots, the cannon jump. It feels so good to use. Third bit of water, go in the pipe, cannon jump to another dark magic, upgrade cannon jump again. Realise I'd forgotten the second bit of water, go through that pipe, get dark magic, max cannon jump. Fourth bit of water, cannon jump the block away, get genie crystal number 9, cannon jump up to the first chest I found that I couldn't get to for more dark magic, upgrade pirate hat. Enter the second area, cannon jump to where the chef was in the main game and get genie crystal number 10. Use all my cannon jumps and the pirate hat to get to the top left corner for more dark magic and max pirate hat. Cannon jump onto that roof and blast through the block to get the 11th genie crystal. Cannon jump to this chain of platform switches and make my way to the top right corner for Main Street's last bit of dark magic, which I use to upgrade my pistol damage. I use a pirate flare to leave. Mermaid Falls now. Go underwater on the second screen, blow away this block, get dark magic, upgrade pistol damage. Destroy the block in the bottom right, go for the pipe, get dark magic, max out pistol damage. Cannon jump up to this chest for the 12th genie crystal, leave the water and finally destroy this block to get just ammo refills. Disappointing. Blowing up the opposite block gets me, what else? Dark magic. I upgrade pistol speed. Cannon jump to the top right corner, more dark magic, another pistol speed upgrade. Area 2. Blow up this underwater block, slide through to this dark magic, max out pistol speed. I've got to say, the rate of upgrading myself and maxing out these tools is so satisfying. Go underwater on the second screen, slash through the grass and get a genie crystal. Cannon jump to the dark magic in Grandma Blobfish's room. Cannon jump all the way to the top left corner, get dark magic, use a 2-on upgrading spread. Cannon jump and then grapple the top middle platform, then drop and cannon jump again to get to the chest, get another dark magic and max spread. Cannon jump to the final chest of Mermaid Falls for the 14th genie crystal. Back to Tasseltown. I already have all the genie crystals here, I'm just missing 6 dark magics. First one's found by dropping into the first body of water, I upgrade Seeker. Second body of water, blow up this rock, get another, upgrade Seeker again. Third is from cannon jumping up here, Seeker maxed. Back in the tower, time to start bombing all the dragon heads. Cannon jumping up this place at high speeds is really fun. I find the 4th dark magic, upgrade Tinkerbat, get the 5th, upgrade Tinkerbat again, go to area 3, blow up the block, get the 6th, max Tinkerbat and leave. Now for Cape Crustacean, just got 2 dark magic left to find. First one by blowing up the blocks in the first room in area 2, second by cannon jumping across this windy room. I use them both to upgrade the Kraken Ball. Now for Hypno Baron's castle, where I have just 1 genie crystal and 1 dark magic left to find. The final dark magic is above the door to Hypno Baron's room, with I upgrade Kraken Ball again and have fully maxed out Risky. I find the final genie crystal in this chest that I skipped before thinking it was a fake. With all the genie crystals together, she has the Tinkerbats put them all together to show her the best place to put the dynamo, the place where the barrier between worlds is weakest. This reveals a volcano we went through as Shantae. During the loading screen, she's already converted the volcano to a Tinkerbat factory. Knowing that Shantae will be coming after her soon, she decides to test her defences. This level is where all those upgrades become so satisfying. Cannon jumping over these massive gaps, wiping out huge enemies in seconds. That's about it for this first section. There's also some jumping across rings. In the second area we start getting some challenge, setting off switches with the cannon jump to open up a gap with spikes on each end, leaving you to be very careful with how you time the use of your pirate hat. Jumping off a ring to shoot a switch to keep these crushers up and just long enough for you to glide through, then grapple onto this ceiling, cannon jump to this moving spike block and grapple onto that before finally cannon jumping to safety. This was a fun one to rewatch, especially that last screen where you have to have total control of the pirate hat, grappling hook, cannon jump and gun before reaching the final section. Risky prepares to activate the dynamo, but Shantae turns up. Shantae has the same weaknesses as the last set of bosses. Bomb shot is very good. While she prepares her dancers, she's taking 12 damage each from all those lingering explosions. With Mermaid, she'll fire a line of bubbles along the screen. With the Harpy, she'll fly off screen and try to run through me. With Crab, she'll create 2 waterfalls and dash between them at high speeds. She'll use Monkey Bullet to dash all over the screen. The Bat Dance blacks out the screen, only showing what's close to her. This is a really cool fight, using roided up versions of the dances you're so familiar with against you. Sadly, around this point I ran out of bombs just firing off everywhere. Doesn't matter though, because while doing her next dance, I finish her. With Shantae dead, Risky prepares to tear up the Genie Realm, but the Tinkerbrain shits itself and dies. The Tinkerbats forgot to install one of the mechanisms and the whole thing explodes, taking the factory with it. Or at least, that's how Risky claimed it really happened. In this playthrough I got 100% and did it quick enough that I got the fastest time 100%, regular 100% and regular game clear pictures. Of course I already had these along with the regular fastest time before I deleted it. Pirate Queen's Quest was one of my favourite of the DLC episodes. Risky was really fun to play as and the upgrading was so satisfying. But now it's time to go back in time to my Friends to the End playthrough. Sadly, my first playthrough of this was also lost, but my second run for the fastest time pictures remains. This does mean I have no footage of the cutscenes, which I'm sorry for, but I don't feel like you're missing much in this case. This one takes place during Shantae's corruption and stars Rocky Top, Sky and Bolo as they enter Shantae's mind to turn her back. First you have to do a quick tutorial. Bolo can use his grappling arm to swing from certain points and to punch up on large blocks. He has both special grappling points and can swing from rings. Roddy Tops can take off her own head and throw it, growing a body back where it lands. This is used to passing through certain barriers and reaching otherwise inaccessible platforms. Sky can throw bird eggs and hatch them in the air to create platforms. She can also glide with a bird. After this I get one more screen where I have to switch between the three and use all their abilities to get to the end. Since we're going through Shantae's memories, it means reliving the events of the main game, so once again we're back in Main Street. There's a new remix of its music though. You'll see that everyone has a gem count and a level below their health. Collecting gems raises the level, which means more damage from normal attacks. However, getting hit loses some of your rings and your level can decrease. As you can see, Rotty's normal attack is with her torn off leg and Sky attacks with boomerang birds. As for the cutscenes, I said you're not missing much. Most of it is just revisiting early cutscenes in the game with the freeze commentary and them arguing. I didn't really care for it much. I collect my first Dream Squid. There's 3 of these in every area and they're all out in the open, they just need a certain character's skill to reach. From now on, all the modes are more linear, so there's no need to backtracking apart from getting the fastest time pictures, but more on that later. I'm fine with that. There are 9 modes in this game, having them all be big Metroidvanias might get a bit tedious. As for my thoughts on playing as each of these characters, they're fine. The thing is, they each have their own limitations for the other 2 to make up for. It makes sense, but it does mean that I didn't find any of the 3 as much fun as Shantae or Risky. Plus their main method of passing obstacles are more annoying than I feel they should have been. Getting the swinging right with Bolo or aiming right his head or getting the timing right on hatching Sky's eggs. There were quite a few moments, especially in this speedrun, that got on my nerves. Once again I did have fun with this mod, just not as much. I get the last Dream Squid and move on to Area 2. Now here is where we have to start combining abilities, like creating a bird platform with Sky and then using Rotty's head to reach the next platform. I get on top of the Chef's Soul platform and fall because Bolo is my least favourite of the 3 to play as. I had the most mistakes with his grapple and his regular attack isn't very good. I make it the next time and get the first Dream Squid. The second is found using Sky to get to the restaurant roof. They actually did slightly change some of the level by blocking off the right side of the roof. Everyone has their own special attack that drains the magic meter too. I accidentally use Sky trying to get the third Dream Squid. It's a barrier of birds. With the squid obtained I move on to the boss. Tinker Slug yet again. This time after ringing the bell I have to use Bolo to swing up to the barrel. I then use Rotty Top to do the actual damage. And that's it, the Tinker Slug goes down again. I'm going to have to talk about these bosses another 4 times after this, I don't know what will be left. Mermaid Falls now. I really appreciate the new music for the DLC. They didn't have to do that. The original music was very good, but this is my 7th run through these levels, so it's nice to have a change. For the first Dream Squid I have to drop in the water and go under this rock to get to it. Another thing you may have noticed is enemies showing up earlier. We had Nagas in Main Street and here we have the archers from Tesseltown and the slime women from Hypno Baron's Castle. One thing that makes Friends to the End harder than the main game or Pirate Queen's Quest is that there's no way to increase your maximum health, it's permanently at 12. In fact, that's the case for the rest of the modes. The second squid I get by swinging into the top right corner, the last one I get by getting on one of Sky's birds, throwing Rotty's head through the barrier and smashing through the block with Bolo. Area 2 now. First Dream Squid is got by throwing Rotty's head through a barrier in Grandma Blobfish's room, the second I found in the upper left corner having to swap between all 3 of them a lot. This area isn't that much different, which is why I'm skimming over it so quickly. Last squid is on that platform in the top middle. After that I use Rotty's special, which is eating a brain to recover health, then I go down the slide. The slide's still a slide, there are still Dream Squids dotted about the place and the music's still new. Gotta say, I like the intensity whenever Rotty gets a collectible.
Yes!
That's how I feel over every minor accomplishment. The change to the Giga Mermaid is that no platforms reach the ground anymore, you have to use Bolo to grab the rings to get to the higher locks. Bolo's basically required for the second phase. I could faff around with jumping ring to ring or just diagonally fire the grappling hook into a face. One last side note is that her tail slam creates gems to try and level up with. Back in Tesseltown, rather than little cacti we have a lot of the skeletons from the tower. First Dream Squid obtained by swinging on top of this platform with a barrier. Second one's easy, just create a bird platform and jump into it. Third one I just walk into, then I walk into the tower. Gotta do the Wilbur chase again. This part I found really fun. There's enough switching and using everyone's unique abilities in such a short amount of time that it just feels good when you don't mess up and get a huge distance between yourself and Wilbur. All the Dream Squids involve using Sky or Rotty to go out of your way while Wilbur gets closer. That part where Wilbur got close and I had to throw Rotty's head downwards was scary. Area 3. This one is definitely easier than it was with Shantae. No moving bricks, so I have to use Sky and I can take as much time as I want with the bird platforms. Well, not as much as I want in this playthrough because I'm going for the speedrun time, but you know what I mean. First Dream Squid I have to swing under this platform. You can tell I only use Bolo when I have to, with him still being max level while Rotty and Sky struggle to keep theirs above 1 or 2. Second squid needs Sky, third one is where Tuki was and requires Rotty Top to chuck a red across the gap. Those bomb dropping birds that gave me trouble are much easier to deal with the Sky, since I can hit them far enough away that the bomb doesn't drop on me. Wilbur is once again exactly the same. I use Sky here because of the range of her bird attacks. Boom. Cape Crustacean, basically the same. Carpets, squids out in the open, be out twitching vinegar with birds. Done. Outside the airships again. First door, throw Rotty through some lasers, get first squid. This time the lasers on the outside never turn off, so Rotty Top's head has to be thrown through all of them. It's also how I get the second squid in another room. The only time you don't need to be here is for the last dream squid, and at the very end where you need Bolo. Inside the airship once again. In the second room I climb up a chain, smash away some crates, go through the door and throw his head into the first dream squid. Also, you can't throw a red onto another screen, the game doesn't approve. My recklessness in trying to get through the game as quick as possible finally gets me killed here. While recording I had no idea if choosing continue would keep the time on the failed attempt, so I'm always quitting to the menu and restarting. I think things are going good so far, 63% in 43 minutes. Back then though I was worried about running out of time, so I decided to skip a couple squids and come back to them later after getting the regular fastest time. I get killed again in the same spot. I only get this squid in the last room because it's not too out of the way, then it's blowing up that engine yet again. Once again I find Rotops the best one to use for the ammo baron fight since she can kill his soldiers in one hit. Although Sky's bird shield takes them out quickly too, but the risk of taking damage from them is higher I find. Bolo doesn't even get a look in. Hypno Baron's castle again. For the first area, to save time, I ignore all the squids and just book it for the exit. No more eye blocks in the second area, a few long throws of Rotty's head and the long grapple sections instead. The first squid is slightly hidden behind this tree and needs Sky's bird platforms. Also, while I like the new music for this mode, I have mostly preferred the originals. This one's the exception. I like the original music for this level well enough, but I like this one just a bit more. For the second dream squid I have to throw an egg into a pit and hatch it just below the token. Then I should have used Rotty's head to get back up, but I was impatient. The third screen is where they really test your usage of Sky. I have to jump on the falling platform, throw an egg, jump, and make sure I can catch the egg in the right place before I land on it. The last dream squid here is also where that last chest was in Pirate Queen's quest, above the door to Hypno Baron. So Squid Baron, one of the easy bosses normally. In every speedrun from now he causes the most deaths, usually from me being too close and impatient and constantly getting nicked by him and only having a maximum of 12 health. I actually put Bolo to use here and finally use his special move, throwing spiked balls. They bounce twice along the room before disappearing. They're the only reliable way to hit Squid Baron while he's in the air, and the range of his normal attack combined with damage makes him more reliable here than Sky or Rotops. Everything I just said also applies to the Dual Barons fight. Bolo really redeems himself this fight, until Hypno Baron brushes up against him and he dies. The successful attempt gets way too close at times too, but Bolo manages it. Now we're catching up to the present in Shantae's memories. No volcano because she hasn't been there yet. Instead, each of the characters has their own solo section to fully test your mastery with them. Starting with Bolo, his first screen is just crossing a lot of gaps with the Dream Squid just being in the air. His second is full of spikes, having to shorten and expand the chain to not get hit. This screen's Dream Squid requires jumping dangerously close to the spiked ceiling. That last jump is a bastard. If I get sent back to the beginning of the screen about 3 times, I just quit out and try again. To get that last jump, you have to swing a little bit beforehand to get the momentum to make it, but without swinging into a spike or taking too long before the ring moves back. In comparison, I did the third screen first time, getting that last Dream Squid at the end. Rotops is next. This is an obstacle course based solely around throwing your own head. This one was a pain for one reason that was never an issue before. Roy's head bounces when it lands. So when you have to cover a large gap and have only a small platform to land on, it gets terrifying. Her first Dream Squid requires throwing her onto the tiniest possible bit of ground while not hitting the spikes. The second screen puts moving platforms into the mix. Then comes throwing her head past 2 spike columns and hob to land on the tiny platform in such a way to bounce and land on the next. Simply throwing it through a gap right after was simple in comparison. For the second Dream Squid I have to throw her head straight upwards onto this platform. Not that bad. Compare that to the third. I have to throw her head along these lower platforms, then up onto this tiny one, then precisely to the next. Getting it the first time here was so lucky. Then I have to bounce her head off a wall through this barrier. Sadly it was all for nothing as I missed too many shots and die. Second to last shot on all that was. Thankfully I get it the second time. And finally Sky's challenge. First screen starts off very simple, using birds to cross gaps and gliding between rings. Hatching this egg far down is a little harder but not too bad. First Dream Squid is gotten by just making a platform to get on top of the ceiling. Like with Rotops, the second screen brings in the moving platforms. This one I have to throw, hatch and jump on just before the platform starts moving back. Do it too early or too late and you aren't reaching the next one. Then you have to do it again but with the platform moving diagonally. Then it's navigating these spikes of a single bird platform and trying to land on the next one. This part causes so many restarts. The Dream Squid right after that though is a bit easy, as my fall shows. 5 minutes later, I'm back and can finally make it to the last screen. This one I found much easier doing it on the first try, mainly landing on more moving platforms that will drag me right into spikes if I don't jump in time. The final Dream Squid can be nerve-wracking since you have a large fall to this moving ring. That's the hardest part though, and not long after I'm done. Mostly easy, but Sky's second screen took much longer than anything else due to all the restarting. Now I have to fight Nega Shantae to beat all that inverted magic out of her. Her moveset is the same as when playing as Risky, and there was that elephant attack she didn't get the chance to use then. Thanks to the small boss arena, using Bolo is the best strategy again. She also does a spider dance this time, leaving the screen and raining down venom. Like an idiot, I forget to use Rox's heal move and get killed. I also learned she can kill me in the frames between me in the brain and actually being healed. But on the third try, she finally has enough of spiked punches to the face and starts exploding. Then comes me mashing through the same scene from the main game where they turn Shantae back to normal, and the scene after with some slight dialogue changes, and then they all pose. Except for Mimic, who thinks he's better than everyone else. The end. This was a fun one, but as I said earlier, I didn't enjoy it as much as playing as Shantae or Risky. Final time was 1 hour 7 minutes, getting me fastest time and game clear pictures. Nav 100%, you can walk between levels using the pause menu. I get that first squid I lost in Cape Crustacean Area 2, the second one is in the flooded room. The reason I left this one is because it takes a while, a lot of swapping between all three just the one squid. With that picked up, it's back to Hypno Baron's Castle Area 1, first one is in the room where Abner used to be. Second one is near the gap to the roof, third one is in the room where Pro used to be. Then it's beating Shantae again. 100% in 1 hour 12 minutes, getting me the 200% pictures. Also, I still got the regular fastest time one for this, so there was no need to skip any squids. Those were the two big DLC modes, the next 4 are more small scale. Starting with Ninja mode. Shantae's ninja costume arrived in the post, but she doesn't actually know what a ninja is. It came with a scroll though that tells her all the ninja stuff, so Shantae goes out to slay some villains. Outside Main Street, Shantae reads out the tutorial, but I'll explain it all as I go. Being a ninja, Shantae runs really fast and attacks with a katana. As you can see in the corner, she has the same gem leveling system from Friends to the End. This will be the case for all remaining DLC. She has the backdash once again, the main issue is me failing to remember it. She's a Ninja Gaiden style wall jump. Dream Squids are still around and they're pretty much the same, all out in the open. In fact, in all 5 mods that had them, quite a few share location. To get the second one I have to use her Ninja Vanish technique, which lets me teleport a short distance in the direction I aim. The third is just above the next body of water. This is a fun one. Watching the first level you can tell I'm having trouble getting used to the faster speed, but once I do, it's pretty good. In Area 2, the first squid is next to where the chef used to be. I get the second by wall jumping on that same roof that has hidden something every mode so far. It's just right at this moment, watching it back, I've noticed that the bricks and the walls are popping out thanks to these Tinkerbats ramming the building. I never picked up on that while playing. I run into the last squid and Ninja Vanish into it and continue to the boss. Shantae reads the part of the scroll about being a master of disguise and decides to conceal her identity. But when Risky thinks she's wearing pyjamas, she blows her cover right away. Risky doesn't remember her name though, and I'm guessing this one line here is a reference to an earlier game. Tinks looks a bit more damage and I actually die standing in the fire like an idiot, but otherwise it's the same. Risky leaves and Shantae declares herself a master of disguise. Next, she's in Mermaid Falls because she thinks it'll make her become one with nature. Once again, the first Dream Squid is out in the open. The second is hidden behind this tree in this corner, the third is in the same spot as the last mode, the top right corner. In Area 2 I finally show off the use of the magic meter in this mode, throwing kunai. I don't use it that much, not because it's bad, because I just forget to. It's useful for taking out those annoying electric guys though. You've probably noticed I'm really skimming over these levels. This is the 4th time talking about them and Ninja mode is the one where they're the least changed, which is why I'm only talking about Dream Squids most of the time. Speaking of, all 3 of them are close to the top of this area, the first one just hanging around, second hidden up here, third in the top left corner requiring a few vanishes and wall jumps. Slide is still a slide, Dream Squids are around. Shantae finds a place to become one with nature but he has Techno Baron up ahead. Shantae pretends to be a tree but Techno Baron's had enough of a tree impersonator so he sticks his giant mermaid on her. Locks go down in seconds at level 4 and those smaller laser balls are even quicker, but I found them easier to dodge this time. The first set anyway. First phase done, easy. I can hit her with the kunai that I've since leveled up into shurikens, but it's difficult. I have to be over half a screen away for one to reach high enough to hit her. So when I get the chance I actually go for hitting her up close this time. Techno Baron tries goading her in to finish him off, but Shantae says that would make her no better than him. Then she decides she's fine with them being equals and swats him away anyway, declaring herself one with nature. In Tasseltown, Shantae next reads from the scroll about how a ninja must discipline their mind to control their force. She decides to practice by controlling her force of Holly, accidentally bringing her back. Of course, Holly claims to have mastered the ninja arts. She leaves and Shantae chases to show her how good her mental discipline is. First Dream Squid is above the first body of water, second is just there on top of some quicksand, same with the third, into the tower to be chased by Wilbur I go. First squid is in the same spot as last time, same with the second, third is at the top of the really long chain just before the exit. One of the easiest Wilbur chases across each mode. I'm not letting this area humiliate me or Shantae again. First squid is once again in the same spot as last time, just needing a Ninja Vanish. The second is in a very similar place, just a little bit lower. Third is also in the same spot where Tuki was. Sadly an arrow shot me out of the air and killed me near the end, so I had to do it all again. Boss area, Wilbur, the same, done. Holly brags again about being immortal as long as she's in Shantae's force, but Shantae drops her scroll and forgets about Holly for a moment, making her disappear again. The scroll was in her pocket. Believing her mind to be sufficiently disciplined, she moves on. Next, her scroll talks about the art of sabotage. She figures Ammo Baron will know all about that, and he's got some delicate stuff to break. Once again, the magic carpet race is basically the same, and all three of its dream squids are easy to get. As for Twitch and Vinegar, the large shurikens we get at level 4 wreck 'em. Area 2, once again 2 other squids are in the same rooms. The first is just a drop requiring a ninja vanish to get out, the second has the obstacle be the same as in the main game but even easier with this moveset. The third is in the room with loads of lasers together that I can just ninja vanish through. Inside the airship, the first squid is in the same hidden room on the second screen, second is in the flooded room, have to land in water from behind and sink under the floor to get to the other side, then I have to do a lot of wall jumping to make it to the corner where the dream squid is. But my failure to remember the extra damage combined with my impatience gets me killed again. Third squid is in the same place as last time and I destroyed that engine yet again. Shantae tells Ammo Baron she sabotaged the engine so she could be like him. He's so flattered he has everyone put on their MCU to test her if she can sabotage them too. The shurikens are really useful to taking out his human shield. Don't know why I keep jumping forward into them though. It's also a shame I wasted all my magic by the second cycle. That and the getting killed thing. I'm slightly more careful the second time, but instead I die in the third cycle because even though I got some magic back, I didn't think to use it on the remaining soldiers and just stood there trying to outdamage them. I get in the third time and he gets carried off again. Sabotage mastered. The next thing to learn is operate from the shadows and we're at Hypno Baron's castle, so... First squid is in pose room but I die because I'm bad. Next time I stop being bad and get it. I also like the ninja vanish for allowing me to skip trying to deal with the spider women, they take forever normally. The second is in this corner above the doorway but the bat came back and I got killed by a bat. The doorway right below that second squid leads to the last one and I can continue. Here you can see me contemplating trying to ninja vanish to that eye block but I chicken out and do it normally. I also do a poor job getting that first dream squid. I do a much better job getting the second. I then ruin that by getting cocky and instead of just letting the block move and crouching below the spikes I throw my face right into them. And like the last two modes, the last collectible is above the door at the end. Shantae hides in the shadows while Hypno Baron once again summons Squid Baron. Squid Baron spots Shantae in the shadows and mistakes her for his father. Once everything cleared up, Squid Baron says that he himself is a master of squid jutsu but Hypno Baron cuts the conversation short and tells him to fight her. Squid Baron's just a case of slashing up close and throwing shurikens while he's in the air. He goes down really fast here. He's defeated even quicker in the Dual Barons fight. Hypno Baron never even gets a hit in, he goes down so fast. Hitting him with all 3 shurikens up close a lot destroys him. He leaves and Shantae has mastered operating from the shadows. Final level is in Risky's hideout again. For a final lesson, Shantae must vanquish her greatest foe. She interprets that as needing to slay the volcano, but she has to take out Risky Boots and her crew first. The first dream squid has me dropping from this ring to touch it and then vanishing back up before I touch the lava. Quite a lot of vanishing over large gaps here, and even trying to vanish into rings, which as you can see I had a tiny struggle with. Twice. 3 times. For fuck's sake. At least it wasn't the lava that killed me in the end. Get it right away next time. Oh great, now I need to vanish and land on a moving platform. And not this shit again. Or I could just make it with a regular jump and get the dream squid while I'm at it. Last one is very close by and I run to the next section, except no, because I decide to fight the last enemy and get killed right in front of the exit. Forget the Sonic run, or not figuring out I can heal last episode, this is probably my most incompetent moment so far. This better not continue, or by episode 12 I'm going to be lacerating my ballsack trying to switch on the N64 or something. Anyway, final area, more of the same, falling into lava, all that good stuff. First squid is right above the lava next to this wall at the end of the first screen. In the next screen I go and lose 2/3 of my health at the beginning, it's a wonder I even get that second squid without killing myself. Instead I die in the third screen hitting too many spikes and falling into lava. As is tradition, the second try goes by much smoother. I get the last squid without even realising it was there, just teleport for the last enemy, can't be arsed, and get to Risky. Shantae starts listing off her accomplishments but Risky doesn't care, she's too busy trying to use the energy of the volcano to power her army. Shantae can't let that happen because she wants to slay the volcano and they fight. I actually struggled quite a bit with Risky here, having only 12 health and no recover move like Rocket Tops, and having my attacks be weak because I took so much damage I fell back down to level 1. I don't win the first time. The only way to recover health is to take out her Tinkerbat reinforcements to get hearts. Other than that she's the same and I beat her on my third try. Risky accepts defeat but points out the volcano is about to erupt. She checks her scroll which tells her that ninjas don't swim in lava before trying to escape. Final slide is the same, no squids, same obstacles. Shantae declares herself victorious and a true ninja master before Mimic turns up. The actual ninja costume just arrived and Shantae's been wearing her baby clothes all game. The mask was Mimic's for blocking the smell and the scroll was a roll of baby wipes for her potty training cheat sheet. Shantae is humiliated and that's the end. I like this one. I liked it more than Friends to the End but not as much as the main game or Pirate Queen's Quest. 100% at an hour and 19 seconds. I only get the game clear and 100% pictures. Time for speedrun. Same strategy as Friends to the End, skip cutscenes, remember where everything is, restart if getting stuck at an obstacle too long, and ignore the level 5 area 1 squids. I get a time of 40 minutes 43 seconds and get the fastest time picture. Then I get those last 3 Dream Squids and I beat it again for the 100% fastest time picture. Next is Beach Mode, my least favourite of the lot. Apparently it's perfect beach weather even though it looks no different than a normal day. She gets to Main Street and like last time she does the tutorial. Also like last time I'll explain it as I go. You'll see the bottles of sunscreen lying around. Shantae left hers at home and she's constantly burning up. You can see the sunburn meter at the bottom, and as it fills up Shantae's skin gets redder. If it fully fills, you slowly take damage. Touching sunscreen reduces the meter to 0 for a little bit before it starts filling up again. This is what makes this mode my least favourite. I get the idea behind it, but I just didn't enjoy it, especially with the already small maximum health. Another new move of hers is the personal bubble, which allows her to float up into the air until she ever touches anything, it's up too long, or you pop it yourself. It's what allows me to get the first Dream Squid, the second is just lying around, and the third I have to float into right before the end. Area 2 and I can just float past the brick section, when a brick isn't popping my bubble that is. By this point I can guess where most of the Dream Squids are going to be, and what do you know, the first one is in that top left corner, and the second is on that same roof. The third is just hanging around above the screen towards the end. Shantae found a good spot to sunbathe, but Risky's ship pulls up. Risky wants Shantae's spot and he's going to fight her for it. Tinker Slug is still Tinker Slug. Deaded. Shantae's not happy because the beach has been ruined by Risky's gunpowder. Risky claims to have found a better beach and pisses off. Shantae takes it as a challenge to find it first. In Mermaid Falls she sees the place as perfect for gathering shells. First squid is once again in the same place as last time, the second is found just by taking the normal route through the level, the third you get by bubbling up to the corner where the long mouse tunnel starts. The bubble is also very useful for area 2, letting me skip a lot of ring jumping. I also demonstrate the magic skill for this mode, throwing bouncing beach balls that increase in size and strength as you level up. I find the first squid by accident, just testing how much I could skip with the bubble. As I'm sure everyone watching this is expecting at this point, there's one in the top left corner, and the third is in the top middle. Slide. Shantae runs into Techno Baron and thinks she's on a private beach and begs him to let her do a bit of shell searching. He scoffs at the idea of rummaging through dirty water when he already has the best shell collection from buying them at a gift shop. Shantae is disgusted at this fake shell collector. He also says he keeps a shell even if there's something still living in it, like, say, a giant mermaid. So, Giga Mermaid round something. Easy with the bubble and sometimes a broken lock drops a bottle of sunscreen. Not all the time though, which is why I die of sunburn the first time. Second phase I just keep lobbing beach balls into her face until she's beat. Shantae lectures Techno Baron and then smacks him away. She then goes to look for an even better beach. In Tasseltown, somehow just talking about her imagination and building sandcastles revives Holly. Holly is of course a master sand sculptor. She also scoffs at Shantae's suggestion of burying each other. She then disappears to complete her 1-to-1 full-scale sand tower and Shantae sets off to check it out. First squid is in the air with some quicksand and I'm killed by a sandworm. So I spend most of the level just hovering over everything, only dropping for sunscreen. Squid 2 is with more quicksand and the third is between that same platform and quicksand as the last 2 modes. Wilbur Chase. First squid same place, fuck dragon heads, the second one hidden off to this side, nearly gets me out. Last one near the spikes above the exit. Wilbur, you constantly leave me with nothing to say. It's always good being able to just float over area 3. Oh hey, the first squid is still in that same spot. Don't nudge the sides of the platforms. The second squid is in fact not in that same place this time. It's hovering over this pit with an archer shooting above it instead. I fall in the pit and an archer kills me on the way back. I thought I'd moved past you lot giving me trouble. I don't like you lot again. We're 3-3 on the third one beginning Tuki's old spot. Shantae is very impressed by Holly's tower. She had help from Wilbur. After the fight, Holly offers Shantae an autograph. She turns it down because she was glad to help out by smoothing out certain spots along the way. Finding out her greatest achievement was tainted makes her fade away. Shantae continues her search for the perfect beach. She gets lost and ends up in Cape Crustacean. She wants to check out Sequinland's tropical islands and needs to catch a plane for it. Carpet race. Squid 1, Squid 2, Squid 3, beach ball twitch and vinegar into oblivion. Airships. Squid 1 got in the exact same situation as last time, same for Squid 2. Squid 3 is in the many lizard room but they cut it down to 3 to make getting it possible with this moveset. Inside. Take a wild guess where they hid the first Dream Squid. Also guess which room they hid the second in. And the third. Airship Kaboom. There's still 2 more DLC modes after this. I hope I don't evolve into just grunting by the last one. Ammo Baron's all, what the fuck, when Shantae explains that she needed it to land and there was no other way because she's looking for the perfect beach. Ammo Baron says it isn't here and she's doomed them by dropping them into hostile territory. He believes the crowd means we're in a coliseum and we have to fight for their entertainment. Beach ball dead. Ammo Baron has no regrets and is carried off. Beach search continues. She believes that Hypno Baron's castle is a popular northern hotel and the North Shore has the best surfing in the world, so it must be the best beach. So she goes in. Poe's room has a squid yet again, Abner's room also has one after skipping having one last time, and the third is in the attic. Area 2, and while this may be my least favourite mode, these moments where I can just float over the pit sending over challenge are always good. If only it wasn't tied to the pain in the ass sunburn mechanic. First dream squid is easy, second is another jump into the pit for the squid then get yourself out quick one. Don't know why I just stood there and let myself die though. Last squid's also easy. Shantae enters what she thinks is the main lobby, Hypno Baron doesn't notice and summons Squid Baron. Shantae pisses him off by referring to him as a bellhop rather than a hotel attendant, and he isn't one of those either. Fight breaks out. Same strategy as last time. Dual Barons, same strategy as last time. It is a bit harder to hit Hypno Baron with the beach balls and the shurikens though, so the sunburn kills me again. Then Hypno Baron burns me to death himself. Then Squid Baron kills me. Then that fucking sunburn again. Then him nudging into me just as I was about to get that life-saving sunscreen. Then Squid Baron again. And another sunburn. And another Squid Baron. And another Squid Baron. And another... Oh, never mind, I got him this time. Once again she states she wants to check into the hotel. Said hotel is actually up the street. End of level. Now she thinks the volcano is Sequinland's North Sea shore and mistakes of lava for hot springs. But that's not going to stop her from finding the best beach before Risky. Come on, there's no sun. How can I still be getting sunburn? And don't tell me due to being so close to the lava. Sunscreen ain't gonna help with that. Especially when she's jumping down so close to the lava for a squid. The second has me doing the opposite with a set of spikes by the way. The last one is with some more spikes very soon after. Arsehole crabs! How can we survive in the lava anyway? Thanks to them I get killed on the way back. You see, I was just about to type in this script, if I die now before getting to the next area I'm not going to be happy. I wasn't expecting to actually see that happen. That's what happens when it's 6 months since you recorded it, you get to experience all those emotions again. Witness all the little things that slipped your mind since. Well, next time I get through. In the second area there's a squid below me right at the beginning. It's just a case of running to the edge of the platform, dropping to the floor below and running back. The second is floating between two spike crushers. The final is yet another drop down to just before the lava without getting yourself destroyed. This time I did the whole area without dying. Running to Risky Boots again. Risky lets Shantae know this is in fact a volcano. Risky plans to process the lava into sand and transport to the south shore to make a beach of soft black sand because the normal sand there is too coarse for her sensitive skin. Shantae is against disrupting the natural order and is going to fight Risky on behalf of all of Sequinland's beaches. This is the hardest moveset to fight Risky with, only the hair whip is reliable so I have to keep close. The beach ball's diagonal movement makes hitting her at a distance only viable when she's clinging to that anchor. I do manage her first try though. Shantae goes into the typical every beach is special in its own way speech you've heard in everything, while Risky's all, mine would have still been better, and the volcano starts to erupt, angered at Risky's beliefs. After Risky leaves, Shantae tries to calm down the volcano, but it's too livid to listen, then comes the same slide. Shantae's back home and Mimic shows up, asking how her day at the beach went. She says she found the very best beach in Sequinland, meaning her home. She then says she's going to share it with everyone. The end. As I said, this was my least favourite, it's purely for that sunburn mechanic. To be fair, it wasn't horrible or anything, it was just the only one I didn't enjoy, and 1 out of 9 modes isn't bad. Anyway, I finished in 1 hour 5 minutes, getting me 100% fastest time, 100% clear, and regular clear. Getting that 100% fastest time is so good because now I can avoid dream squids entirely for the speedrun, so yeah, I rushed through the mode again, beginning it in 41 minutes 32 seconds and getting me that fastest time picture. 2 left now. Up next is Officer mode. Shantae's got a message from the Galactic Penal Squad, or Mimic. Space hooligans have escaped custody and Shantae has to bring them all back in. As usual, she gives a tutorial outside Main Street, and also as usual I explain it myself. So for one thing, I can't duck or crawl anymore. I now shoot pellets from my gun and there are these blocks around. Some in the foreground, some in the background. Pressing the A button switches the block's position. The gameplay is based on Way Forward Zone, Mighty Switch Force games which I have never played. Maybe I will one day after trying this out. Also I explode when I touch water, the cybernetic body doesn't like it. You might notice that there are 5 collectible outlines in the top right instead of the usual 3. Rather than squids I have to collect 5 space hooligans in every area. One last comment is that this mode has some new music. I assume it's from Mighty Switch Force, but I don't know. You can also slam enemies into the screen while changing blocks. Right next to where I discovered that is the second hooligan. The third is hanging out in this little corner. I enjoy this mode, it's definitely better than beach mode. I'm also thankful it doesn't checkpoint me all the way back at the beginning of the screen. As I level up, you also notice that my pellet gun gained a spread. The 4th hooligan is just standing in the corner, and as I find the 5th, I learn that I can slam myself into the screen too. I get her and continue to area 2. Obviously there's no brick climbing with the block switching mechanic, but where I would climb the brick says hooligan 1. Level 3 also turned my spread shot into one large shot. To get to the second one I have to get to where the chef was and make my way across the blocks to the top left corner. I then use the blocks to get back into our favourite roof for the third. I'm also max level here which means a large spread shot. Also some idiocy. Hooligan 4 is by the restaurant entrance and the last one is in this building by the end. Shantae pulls Risky over and asks her name and identification. Risky refuses to answer most of Shantae's questions. When Shantae asks for both her vehicle and pet license for the Tinker Slug, Risky attacks. Tinker Slug's slightly different, I have to use block switching to get up to the barrel, rest of the fight is the same. 2 cycles does it in. Risky gets let off with a warning for not being a space hooligan, and Risky just accepts it and leaves. Mermaid falls. Nothing special to the cutscene, just Shantae saying she's picking up more hooligans. First one I find in that little area in the middle right, second is just found on the normal route through the area, third is found on the upper area's lower left corner, fourth is in the top right, and last one I have to drop down to the section the wizard was found in the main game. For Area 2, as usual, none of the collectibles are on the first screen. First base hooligan is found in Grandma Blobfish's screen. I love slamming those gators into the screen, by the way. Second hooligan is found by dropping down to this little section here as I climb. I'm surprised this is only the first mod that put one there, it seems like such an obvious place to hide a collectible. Third is in the same spot that always has a collectible, fourth is on that top middle platform like in most of the modes. I get to the end and realise I'm missing a hooligan, so it's time to go looking. I take so long looking I quit out. On the first playthrough I'm always at least hoping to get the 100% fastest time. She was on the one platform I missed on the way up. Now I can continue. There's even hooligans on the slide, with their own little floating platforms. Otherwise the slide is the same, no switch mechanic here. Shantae runs into Techno Baron and wants to ask him some questions. He's happy to oblige. She tells him about the space hooligans and asks if he's seen any suspicious activity. He has, telling her about his counterfeit mermaid operation and this genie girl that beat him up. She's about to let him go about his day until he says he's using mackerel for his mermaids. They're out of season, so she's gonna have to bring him in. So he says figure a mermaid on me again. As you'd expect, the block switching is required to get to the higher locks. Level 4, the locks are destroyed in like a second. Shame I went down a level thanks to the fast balls. That massive spread would have been so useful for the second phase. She's still quite easy though. Owl sees some fish are illegal and she hits him away. I thought I was coming with you. Shantae tracks the hooligans to Tasseltown. She asks for any of its crime records, but a magnetic storm wiped most of them. Only one file remains about tens of thousands of crimes committed by, guess who?
Someone remembered me?
She leaves and Shantae follows. First hooligan is right in front of you seconds from the start. The second is just there. Third is above this body of water. This is the level that starts introducing mazes of blocks to navigate your way through without crushing yourself. Fourth one is underneath this platform, and the fifth cements this area as having probably the easiest to find hooligans. Wilbur Chase, even with the new mechanics, still doesn't give me anything new to say other than it gave me more trouble than in the other modes. Here are all its hooligans. Area 3. Block switching replaces the original platforming of this level, which is good news for my blood pressure. Doesn't stop me making silly mistakes though. This spot still keeps its 100% collectible attendance. The second is on the last platform before the end of the screen. Third one's tricky, trying to get to it from the left will just get you crushed, and I'm proud to say I didn't fall for it. It also feels like each mode gives me the chance to get revenge on another annoying enemy. For this mode it's the archers. Hooligan 4 is another I have to approach from the right, just without a trap this time. And of course Toki's spot has the last one as always. Wilbur. Of course, Holly accepts arrest and wants a file reporting everything she's done, but since her crimes were centuries ago, Shantae erases Holly's record, erasing her too. Next, Shantae is at Cape Crustacean investigating an illegal street race. When Mimic points out there is no street, Shantae says they're trying to get around the law by having the race in the air. Cape Crustacean is at its most changed in this mode, can't just jump from carpet to carpet, it's almost entirely jumping between rings and blocks. It's still very easy though, so I get all the hooligans. I've an utterly trounced Twitch and Vinegar, probably the fastest they've gone down. On the airships once more, the first door has me navigating a little block maze for the first space hooligan. Getting down there's easy, getting back up not so much. Most lasers don't turn off anymore, gotta block them with blocks. Second room has me navigating this little maze while also using it to block the laser at the right time for the second hooligan. Gotta say, sometimes losing your level 4 pellet gun can hurt. They even managed to change up this level a bit more than the others by holding back an airship, putting in this platforming section over a huge drop. The third room with the long row of quickly recharging lasers also has me blocking them with blocks to get to the third hooligan. Definitely a tough one getting the timing right. It even took so much health from me I get killed by this cannon right after I leave. The fourth hooligan is in yet another room where I have to solve the maze, and the last one is just outside next to that room. I drop into area 3 can spot a hooligan right away, just have to climb my way up to her. The second is in the same hidden room that's always had a collectible. No flooded room this time, should make things quicker. Third hooligan is in the top left corner of the laser dodging screen. Fourth is in another regular collectible spot, and the fifth is in the top left corner of the same room. Smash up the engine again. Shantae explains to Ammo Baron why he's being grounded. Turns out Ammo Baron is also from the Galactic Police and was investigating the same thing. They argue over whose orders come from higher up and have a fight. As long as you keep yourself at maximum level, Ammo Baron has no chance and goes down easy. Shantae checks in with headquarters and apologises to Ammo Baron for blowing his cover, but not for destroying his bones. Outside Hypno Baron's castle, and Shantae has heard a noise that she recognises as either space hooligans or teenagers, so she goes in to check it out. Right away after going through the first door, I climb all these blocks to the roof where I find the first hooligan in the left corner and the second in Poe's room. The third I then find in Abner's room. I find the fourth in the attic above this door and go through that door to find the fifth. Area 2 now, and the eye blocks are removed entirely for switch blocks. First and second hooligans I just pick up on the way, same with the third. The fourth I have to do a little drop for. I get it, this level isn't exactly built for hiding a load of these. The only real hiding place they have is above the door to the boss, which is where the last one is. This time, Squid and Hypno Baron are staying up past their curfew watching PG-rated films with no parents around. Shantae isn't having any of that shit. You know what I've been saying about bosses in the level 4 gun? It applies to Squid Baron too, and even the dual Barons who go down in less than 20 seconds. She scares off Hypno Baron by threatening to call his terrifying parents. Just one level left. This time the volcano is the Space Hooligans hideout. Once again, first two hooligans are out in the open. This level also doesn't really provide many hiding places. Third one I have to get in mid-air and switch the blocks in time that I don't land in the lava, but also not too early that I get smashed. I wonder if anyone watching this who has played the Mighty Switch Force games can tell me how close the real games are to this mode, because I enjoy this mode and I'm certainly interested in trying out the games too. Fourth hooligan is in the air, and the last one is once again just there. Time for the final area. So throughout this mode a lot of the regular platforming challenges have been replaced with the switch mechanic, and it's a welcome change for me. Even with a different moveset, playing most of the same levels so many times can be a bit tiresome, especially coming after my least favourite mode. This area does incorporate its usual spike crushers though in a way that works really well with the switching. The first hooligan is just right there as you enter the second screen, the second is hanging over the lava, the third is almost impossible to miss, and the fourth is also just chilling in the air. The final hooligan shows up right as I get her, the exit is right next to her too. Risky will only explain what she's doing in the Space Hooligan hideout if I beat her in a fight. The only change to her is that when she gets on the anchor a pair of switch blocks appear so I can reach her. Once I beat her, she explains that she was the one who brought the hooligans out of prison. While Shantae was arresting them, Risky was setting up her trap. Apparently they were at the academy together and Risky was always second best. Shantae then says that she only enrolled because she wanted to be like Risky. Risky apologises for setting off the volcano and I do the last slide yet again. Shantae gets congratulated and when I say she's going to rest, she says she's meeting an old friend at the gym instead. The end. This is one of my favourites of the DLC modes, probably the best of the costume DLC. My final time was an hour 12 minutes, so I only get the 100% game clear and normal game clear pictures. So it's another speedrun, same strategy gets me 45 minutes and the fastest time. Back through Hypno Baron Area 1 for collectibles and finish with 49 minutes for the 100% fastest time, just one more left now. It's Jammies mode. Shantae wants to thank everyone who's helped her throughout her adventures by hosting the ultimate slumber party and sets off to start inviting everyone. I watch through the tutorial and quit. You see, I have an idea. I'll watch the cutscenes, quit out, start again, and skip them. That way I'll save time and hopefully won't have to do a second playthrough. I do this for every cutscene except for the end level ones, so in this mode Shantae attacks with a pillowcase. This does whopping 10 damage at level 1. You'll also see the pyjamas offer little protection, so I take 3 damage from just nudging this. She can also drift away in a relaxing cloud, so you may have noticed this is the moveset from Beach mode, but without the sunburn mechanic and double attack damage. I like this one, it's a nice easy way to wind down the game after what's come before. We're back to Dream Squids and I just float up into the first one. The second one is much further on just above some water, and as usual the third is in the air by the exit. Our final run through Area 2 now. The first Dream Squid is on the chef's platform again, the roof gets to have a collectible in every single mode, and the third is in the air by the exit. The first person Shantae wants to invite is Risky Booze. She tries to invite her but Risky thinks it's a trap and starts a fight. Think Slug fight goes as quickly as I expect when Shantae is doing 14 damage a hit at level 3. I accidentally skipped the cutscene here, oops. Next is to invite Techno Baron in Mermaid Falls. First squid is in middle left again, second is behind this tree again, third is on the top right corner again. Area 2 I can just skip most of the platforming again, just like I'm skipping talking up most of the levels apart from the squids because there's nothing left. Speaking of, first one's in the same spot it's always been in, second one's halfway up, third's in the top left corner again. Slide squids. After some confusion where Techno Baron thinks Shantae is wearing his pyjamas, he accepts the invite and shows his +1, the Giga Mermaid. At max level, the pillowcase does 16 damage which destroys blocks in 3 hits each. Shantae also has a move where she throws a bouncing sheep, but it wasn't that useful for this fight. Luckily I can just float up and whack her till I've beaten her for the final time. Turns out there was some miscommunication. The Giga Mermaid wasn't Techno Baron's guest, it's his great-great-grandmother. Shantae misunderstands the phrase, put her face on and whacks him away. It's all cleared up though. Shantae tries to remember how to bring back Holly, bringing back Holly. She invites her and Holly starts quizzing her on the type of slumber party this will be before rambling on about ear piercings. When Shantae asks for yes or no, she leaves to check her calendar. Squid 1 is above the first body of water, Squid 2 is above quicksand and Squid 3 is in the same spot it's always in. J-Squids. Area 3 and small platform underneath large platform that tends to have an archer squid has 100% attendance. The second one is just there and Turkey Spot Squid is also 100% present. Now it's time for Of course, next she's looking for Ammo Baron. Race Squids. Twitch and Vinegar invited then battered. Area 2, Room 1 Squid same, Moving Laser Room Squid same, the multi-laser room has only 2 lasers this time to be a bit merciful. Area 3, Hidden Room Squid same, no flooded room but the squid is in the area that normally leads to it, squid hidden in this alcove Squid same, Dead Engine. I destroyed your entire armada so I could invite you to my ultimate slumber party, pillow fight training. Sheep are very useful for destroying human shields. Smash his foot in with a pillow, Sheep gets in final blow. Something to talk about, it's revealed that Shantae's pillowcase actually contains Roytops, like her entire being. That explains the insane damage. And there's my last talking point used up. It's getting dark so Shantae needs to drop this invitation off quick. Squid 1 pose room, Squid 2 the attic above the door, Spider arsehole kills me, Squid 3 that one hidden room. Area 2, float over everything, Squid 1's here, Squid 2's here, Squid 3's here. Squid Baron thinks I'm trying to make him go to bed and he's gonna stay up late because he's a big boy and he goes to bed when he fucking says so I smash his face in. And his friends. Yeah, hurry up and clear up the misunderstanding, come on, there's just one more level, I have nothing left. Shantae still needs to invite Risky. I thought she did, but then again I don't know because I skipped it because I'm useless. Squid, done. Risky, just accept the fucking invite. There. Even after Shantae begs and begs for her to come to the slumber party, she declines in a way that makes Shantae believe she's offering her ship to the party. Then the volcano erupts yet again and I have to do one more slide. Many characters we've met throughout the game rush into Shantae's lighthouse house as Shantae gets home. She goes inside to let everyone know the party is being moved to Risky's boat. I like Jammies mode. Despite the speed I was recapping it and how quick the mode itself went, it really did feel like I was winding down the game, and even the ending scene gives off that feeling. My final time was 45 minutes 14 seconds, just 14 seconds off the normal fastest time, but I did get the other 3 pictures, so just one more final boss win but skipping through the dialogue and I get the final picture and finally 100% Shantae half genie hero. I really enjoyed this game. It was a great introduction to the series and I'm interested in trying out the rest. It won't be for a while though because, I gotta say, so many playthroughs have left me feeling a bit burned out on Shantae. Even 6 months later, writing the scripts of these 2 videos have me burned out. But that doesn't take away from what I felt was a great game. I wish it hadn't taken me a year after buying it to finally play it.